In a few years, you're all going to get good at this. In the meantime, I have some pre-season recommendations that will set you up to succeed.
Buzz.
It's the end of February, only 2 short months until package bees begin arriving in Alaska. 6 years ago, I was excited and nervous about starting my long-anticipated beekeeping adventure. In a few years, you're all going to get good at this. In the meantime, I have some pre-season recommendations that will set you up to succeed. Before I begin, I want to remind you that my philosophy is that all beekeepers should have the goal of successfully keeping and overwintering bees. I do it, and you can too. With the proper gear, bees, and methods, overwintering is more than possible. It's expected. Number 1. Purchase polystyrene boxes. In Alaska and other northern climates, helping your colony keep the hive warm is one of the main keys to successful year-round beekeeping. Honeybees need warmth to draw wax, raise brood, distribute propolis, and dehydrate nectar into honey. Insulated boxes retain most of the heat the colony generates. When fewer bees are needed to keep the colony warm, more bees are available to raise brood and to forage for nectar and honey. That means you'll get more honey, because when bees have to work hard to keep the hive warm, they eat more nectar, a lot more. Bees in insulated hives consume less nectar during the season, which means more honey later for you. It is certainly possible to keep bees in wood boxes and add extra insulation for winter. But insulation benefits bees all year, not just winter. And Bee-Max poly boxes are only a few dollars more expensive than wood boxes. So your upfront investment will quickly pay for itself with higher overwintering success and more honey. Number 2, consider using only medium boxes and frames. It saves time and effort when all of your frames fit in all of your boxes. This is very important during the season when you may want to move a frame with queen cells, brood, pollen, nectar, or honey to another colony. Also, a medium box weighs about 60 pounds. A heavy deep box weighs about 90 pounds. Which would you rather lift? 3. Use a screened bottom board over a solid surface, such as plywood. You do not want airflow to enter from below the hive, but having an air gap below the colony is critical for overwintering success. Screened bottom boards are also important for varroa mite control. I'll do separate videos on winter prep and mite control later. 4. Use frames with black plastic foundation. Wooden frames work fine, but over time they can warp or break. I find that plastic frames are far easier to inspect. The black background makes eggs and young larvae more visible, especially to new beekeepers. Also, the inset edges make it less likely the bees will attach them solidly to each other. Although these frames generally come from the factory with a light coating of wax, you should put an extra coat of beeswax on them. This extra wax makes the bees draw comb faster and straighter. 5. Use an inner cover made of Reflectix. Reflectix is insulated bubble wrap that can be purchased at Lowe's or Home Depot. I put a single feeding hole 2 to 3 inches wide in the center. Reflectix inner covers create a heat-efficient seal that helps colonies build up faster in spring and stay warmer in winter. Peeling back Reflectix is far easier than prying off a wooden inner cover that has been glued down with wax and propolis, and you avoid the loud cracks that often cause colonies to become very aggressive. Reflectix inner covers never absorb moisture, never warp, and can be cheaply replaced if damaged. 6. Purchase bees that are most likely to survive Alaska winters. Russians, Carniolans, and Caucasians are fine, as are the offspring from any overwintered Alaska queen. Buckfasts overwinter well, but it's generally thought that subsequent generations can be aggressive. I strongly discourage everyone from buying Italian strain bees. They are difficult to overwinter, often consuming all available food and then freezing. Some would counter that Italians build comb faster or produce more honey. I have two responses to that. First, dead bees don't build comb and dead bees don't produce honey. Second, my bees build comb and produce honey quite nicely, and my colonies don't send out drones with bad genetics to mate with other beekeepers' virgin queens. 7. Consider sunlight when determining hive location. Most books and YouTube videos recommend facing hives east to take advantage of the morning sun. That is not a good idea in Alaska. Here, the sun never really gets overhead. In the summer, it rises in the northeast, then circles the horizon before setting in the northwest. In winter, it barely skims the horizon as it rises in the southeast and sets in the southwest. That means the best places for our backyard hives are facing south in an area with direct sun. It's even better if the hive backs up against a windbreak, such as a building, a fence, or a tree line. In March and October especially, having your hive in direct sun can give them a few extra cleansing flights, and an extra cleansing flight in late fall or early spring can help them make it through the winter. Some of my colonies don't have southern exposure. I face them west to take advantage of late afternoon sun. They don't get as many March and April cleansing flights, but they do okay. 8. If your goal is to successfully overwinter bees, it's best if you purchase bees and gear from someone that consistently overwinters their own bees. The person you buy bees from often becomes a source for other beekeeping information, so you want that information to be consistent with your goals of sustainable beekeeping. 9. Likewise, if your goal is to successfully overwinter bees, it's best to take classes from someone that consistently overwinters their own bees. Most instructors are very good, but those that don't overwinter are not familiar with effective overwintering methods. If they were, they wouldn't be buying new bees every year. 10. Join a local bee club or a Facebook group, or both. Ideally, each new beekeeper would have a mentor, but there are just not enough experienced beekeepers to go around. Joining a club or Facebook group gives you access to many successful, sustainable beekeepers that will be happy to answer your questions or provide advice. Links to the local clubs and Facebook pages are in the video description.